Welcome back, Marys. This is Johnny and Colin.
Hi, Marys.
And we are going to dive in to Untucked and all the amazing conversations that unfolded this week in the other half of the show that RuPaul and the producers say, if you're not watching, you're only getting half the story. And I think... Girl.
Thank you, Gigi Devane.
Girl.
Yeah.
And it's so true this week, especially.
Yeah.
Because... otherwise, we wouldn't see this if we weren't watching Untucked.
Yeah. Now, Mary's, of course, you know at this point, you're listening to Nuance, which is the All Right Mary After Show.
That's
this is where we dive a little deeper. And couldn't think of a more appropriate thing to dive deeper into what went down in Untucked.
Sure.
What started to go down in the workroom. And then I think, because in the workroom, it was one version of this story. And then it got peeled back and untucked. And it's like, oh, no. This is a whole other story.
Right.
And I'm so excited to kind of really unpack this because I think this was... this has potential to be one of the more impactful moments in the series.
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
show.
For the series.
One of the most truthful moments I think we've seen. And I know it's so early to make a hyperbolic statement about something that just came out. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I've seen... this kind of issue called out so clearly and in the moment.
Oh my God. Talk about meta and talk about season 10 referencing itself.
Yeah.
They're referencing fan reactions and actual real people that are watching. They're breaking the fourth wall here.
Yeah.
Vixen is opening up this idea.
This concept of the optics.
Yeah. Do you want to define that for our Marys?
I mean, the way that no pun intended, the way I see it. I mean, the optics are... there's what's happening in this situation. There's the raw material of what's happening in the situation. And then there is the way that people will interpret this
and perceive it.
Both from however it's edited to what is portrayed in the moment versus what's not seen in the moment to what perceptions people are bringing to what they're seeing.
The narratives that they know, right?
I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but the quote that Vixen says, I think it's important to bring this up. She says to Aquaria, "You have created a narrative." And I think I want to bring that up first, even though it jumps ahead a little bit, because I think that's potentially a sticking point. Because I would imagine there might be some Marys who are feeling like they might be feeling more the narrative that the Vixen came in ready to fight, and now she's like, oh, but now she's acting like, oh, but everyone's going to see me as just like angry, but isn't she bringing it on herself by fighting with everyone? That's, I think, a narrative a lot of people might see.
Sure, right? Like, oh, well, she came in saying she was going to fight.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, she started it between Aquaria and Cracker. Yeah.
And I get that. I understand that point of view, and I understand where...
I certainly don't think that Vixen should have inserted herself between Aquaria and Cracker. Am I going to silence her when she does it? No, she's on a reality show. She's making it interesting. She's like, no, we're not going to be a season of somebody's. I think that's more interesting.
Yeah.
And also honestly, what the queer community needs to start doing is stop being so vague and start having conversations with each other.
Sure.
This young queen, Aquaria, had a problem with Cracker. It's like, you need to learn how to communicate when you have a problem with somebody instead of talking about them behind their back and telling on national television that they stole your drag and that's why they're on this TV show in so many words.
Right, exactly.
Like, that's a problem. And I think I've come around on this issue where I think Vixen is doing a service in a sense to the queens that we're watching. It's like, sure, there could have been plenty other ways for her to approach this, right? Maybe that's not for me to critique. It's for me to be like, well, I wouldn't have done that. I would have done this and I would have done this. It's like, well, okay, well, I'm not her.
Right.
Okay. But she did do it. And Aquaria's reaction is another thing. It's like, okay, you got called out, then fess up, girl.
Yeah.
Or backpedal like Blair, you know?
Sure. I think that a lot of people place this at the Vixen's feet and might hear something like, you've created this narrative as pushing off the responsibility. And I want to stick on that point because she's right. Aquaria has the power and the privilege to create this narrative.
Okay.
Because she can just pull that card, like being able to just, oh, you're saying, you're confronting me, you're challenging me, I'm just going to start crying.
You're so mean.
That's such a back pocket card.
You're being mean to me. You're bullying me.
Yeah. That is, that's an escape button. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of blast off with a parachute. A white parachute.
Right. Tears aren't a weapon.
No.
Right? Tears should be a sense of release. you know?
And so I think that I want to stick on that because I think that that's what Aquaria did in that situation was she led the Vixen. We saw this in the first episode that the Vixen kind of got led down a path, right? She basically did it again. She led the Vixen down a path and then pulled the Padge.
Right. Do I think Aquaria did it on purpose?
No.
That's not what we're saying.
No. But
we're saying that this narrative happens all the time.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not that the Aquaria was doing this on purpose. This is what happens all the time, and it's important to call that out because, to your point, we're not going to get any further if we're talking about each other behind backs. If we're pulling this card, we're not going to advance the conversation if we keep pulling these tricks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I wanted to highlight that because I think that's really important and why this needed to get played out. It's not that the Vixen was being hypocritical. It's that she was pointing out that because she reacted, she's kind of pigeonholed. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like she's not allowed to react. When you look at the facts, and Monet calls this out, when you look at the facts, she had every right to react.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't in the wrong.
Yeah.
But as soon as Aquaria starts crying, the Vixen looks like she's wrong.
Right. Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it'll look like.
Yes. And race does factor into it.
You know, and I don't want to pull up such a hot button issue right now, but if you want to consider the narratives that we're probably referencing here, you think about a black person getting pulled over by a white police officer and didn't really do much wrong, had a broken taillight, right?
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like, okay, I'm being racially profiled right now. I'm being pulled over. And they're upset about it. And then the white cop is like, okay, can you please step out of the vehicle? Had it been a white person, they wouldn't have had to step out the goddamn vehicle. So they're kind of goading, they're kind of pushing.
Yeah.
And if I was that person in the car, I'd be like, no, I'm not going to step out of the vehicle. I'm going to stand up for myself. And all of a sudden then they look like the angry black person. Then they're angry and they should have just done what they were told.
Right.
It's like, you know what? I'm not going to I'm going to call out when something wrong is happening to me. And that doesn't mean that I'm this angry black person. It means I'm actually standing up for a history of wrongness.
And this was a really good opportunity for the Vixen to do that because the situation that you point out, to stand up for yourself can be fatal.
Yep.
Whereas in this situation, obviously the stakes aren't as high.
Right.
But the stakes are high in a different way because it's on this larger platform. And she's realizing that this is happening in front of so many people who aren't even going to realize the racial bias that they have about this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And then she will get dragged. And her as Monique says, like the hindrance of her beauty will happen. You know, where like her fan following afterwards will be less, even more so than just because she's a black queen, which is also another reality.
Yeah, sure. And I think to Monique's point, it's like the things that the Vixen is pointing out here, the things that she's highlighting, the conversations that she's starting are so good.
Yeah.
They're so right, and it's just a matter of like. I don't want to sound like Miss Cracker and say, oh, but if you could you've not come at people. Like I'm not, I want to get into that in a second, but it's just like, we talked about this in the main episode. My concern is that the volume's too loud for people to hear how valuable her words are.
Well, and that's what Monique says, right? Like she's like, you're coming in like at a 10 and I'm ready to attack, but that's going to hinder what is your blessing. That's the quote.
Yeah. Just as a sort of counter, because there's so many points of view in this. And one of the ones I want to highlight is one we don't see that, talking about Monique, she talks about having an interaction off screen with Aquaria.
Oh yeah, I have that down here too.
And she says, you know, we talked about this. She said, you know, you started to make a comment about my look, and she said, and immediately I went on the defense, and you know, and said, you know, I love you, but like sometimes you say things.
She says, I sometimes don't get your sense of humor, but I love you.
Yeah. And
you said my jokes don't always land well. Thank you, and I love you too.
Yeah, and I thought, not for nothing, it sounds like a productive conversation.
Yeah, like, oh, I knew.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that could happen. I'm not saying I expect the same from the Vixen. I'm just highlighting there's different ways to have this conversation. And sometimes it has to happen the way it did between Monique and Aquaria. And sometimes it has to happen like this.
Right.
And I respect that.
Right. Especially when you're the Vixen who comes from a place where you have to fight. Yeah. And you're constantly being stepped all over by white younger queens.
Sure. Yeah. And now it's happening, you know, on national television.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, I'm just kind of looking at my notes because we've talked about that you've created a narrative. I think that moment in there where the vixen points at the cameras, it was almost a little chilling. It was like, oh, I don't think I've seen Drag Race get this real in a while.
Right.
There's different little times when Drag Race gets super real. I think the first thing I can think of is season 7 when Katya and Miss Fame talk about being sober in this race. We've seen.
For me, it was. I mean, I'm going to go back to season 1.
Mm-hmm.
It was when Angina had the breakdown on the runway after she won, came out as HIV positive.
Yeah, absolutely. That was like.
That's when I'm like, oh, I don't think the producers knew this was coming.
Yeah. And we've seen. I think of Alyssa seeing the video from her father in Untucked.
Sure.
That felt very real, even though those moments can be kind of manufactured. That felt real. There's been those moments where it's been humanity. This is not just seeing like the pathos of these queens. This is like, this is implicating everyone. This is implicating the cameras.
I don't think it's exploitative on these queens now. I think it is like, oh yeah, turn it all around.
Yeah.
Right.
The fact that she points at the cameras, I was like, oh my God, this is a different conversation. So I just found that really interesting, and it really brought up this concept of the optics that I don't know. I'm going to put a pin in as a lens to see things in the future with Drag Race.
Sure.
Is optics.
Sure. What's this actually looking like?
Yeah.
To somebody that isn't us right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I also really appreciated I had said this with Grizzly Kiki, but I felt like all of the kind of roles in this conversation if this was a one-act play, this would be perfectly cast.
Oh, sure.
Because Monique and Monet bring really important perspectives.
Right.
Monet, I appreciated that her perspective was saying, like, I respect you're not going to back down.
Right.
I often fold.
I would fold.
And I respect that point of view.
Yeah.
And Dusty as well. Dusty brings this point of view of not only has she had conflict with Aquaria, but she's the one who pops the balloon. She's the one who puts the pin in and says, what's the difference between you making a wisecrack and Aquaria making a and Vixen making a wisecrack? Yeah. I just felt like that was a great question. And that is the question, right? Because how come we're okay with Aquaria doing it? And how come there's that trigger reaction that, Vixen's angry, but Aquaria is just quick?
Had Vixen started crying when Aquaria called out her drag, her wig, what would the optics have been? You know, would Aquaria have been this mean bully, or would it have been like, Vixen, why are you crying right now? Take it.
Right. I thought you were so tough. Yeah. That's a good question. If it was switched, what would the
optics be?
Yeah.
You know, like, would she have come off as she can't take it, you know, or she's coming off as like feeling bad for herself, you know?
Right. Yeah. Who knows how she would need to be framed to kind of tell that story.
Yeah.
I think, I agree with Monet. I appreciate that the Vixen is standing her ground. I want to talk about Miss Cracker in this, in terms of characters in the story.
Oh, sure.
I want to talk about Miss Cracker.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Because I don't know, I'm willing to admit that there are times in my life where I have been that white person. I may have not acted on it, but I've thought it, of like that perspective of like, couldn't you get along to get along? You know what I mean? Go along to get along, whatever the expression is.
Well, it's different when Monique says it and then when somebody like Cracker says it.
Exactly. I have that note that it's one thing.
The optics of that are different.
Yep. Well, and Monique is saying it very differently. Yeah. Monique is trying to hold a mirror to the Vixen and say, I just want you to know what this looks like and how this might not be helping you. And I need you to see that. And it's compassionate and it's not casting judgment.
Well, she also, not for nothing, but I don't think she necessarily says that specifically. She starts the conversation with, I would really like it if y'all hoes learned to play nice and work with each other. She doesn't necessarily say like, look at what you're doing until later. But the conversation starts, it's like, can we just be nice? Like, can't you guys figure this out? Like, figure this out.
I see that as a first line of defense of like starting with that of like, can we just resolve this?
Yeah.
Because I think that she's not seeing this as the larger thing that the Vixen's seeing.
Not yet.
Yeah. Right. And that when it becomes the bigger conversation, that's when Monique kind of takes to this place of like, she starts to have those optics conversations.
Yeah.
I just think that then for Cracker to say, can I just request that can you
come back at people at a 5? Don't escalate. This is hard as it is.
I just think she should have kept her mouth shut.
Yeah.
I really
sometimes white people need to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think her intention was fine. Like, if she feels appear to these queens and she's like, look, I'm in this discussion too. I'm here too. I'm going to chime in. I'm going to say, you know what? I've seen this before. Can we just chill out? Like, this is really hard. We're all under a lot of pressure. It's like, well, okay, listen, don't get involved right now.
Right. Yeah. Like that's not what this is about.
But I'm glad that she did kind of chime in, because it gave Vixen a chance to be like, that's a hard ass no. That's like saying when someone comes at you, just handle it more politely.
Oh,
which is a problem that happens all the time.
Yeah. I'm glad.
She's like, why should I? I have no reason.
Yeah.
And she's like, being a 10 is what got me here.
Yeah. And I think was probably what gotten her through a lot of things in life.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going to assume, because she's very attached to staying at a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that I was glad that Cracker said all that, if only to hear that response from Vixen, because that is a truth. Is like being told, like, you know, could you just tone it down? Could you just
code switch?
Could you code switch so that we feel better about this?
Right.
And
think about us, not you.
Yeah. And I thought that's valid, and I'm glad that happened, because I think the part of me that would agree with Cracker got checked. Of like, oh yeah, you're right. Why should you quiet?
Why is no one going? Well, I guess they started to in this, but I mean, Aquaria, just apologize. Aquaria, leave it alone. Can you just, you or if you don't want to apologize, just shut up, stop talking.
Yeah.
I mean, they all kind of really come in Aquaria, right? You have Dusty, who's, reading her with how they were before the show, which I wasn't expecting. And, she's like rewinding before Drag Race. I can't call you a friend. Like, that's probably hard. I mean, I feel in a similar way, this was like all of the queens coming at Laganja at once.
Yeah.
And Laganja being like, I'm having a paradigm shift.
Right.
And Aquaria is the same way. She's like, this is too much. I can't think about myself right now. I have to think about all of you. I'm only thinking about me right now,
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. It can be like a pylon, like more is not going to like help her see it. You know what I mean? Like piling on isn't going to help her get it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Cracker piles on. She's like, Aquaria, you go to people sometimes just to set them off. Yeah. And that's when Monique brings up her thing. She's like, yeah, you even come from me. It's just like, girl, chill out.
Yeah.
Fortunately and unfortunately, this is all filmed and they're all in this room together. And that's what reality TV is, right?
Right. Yeah. It has to be a pylon, because we need it all to happen in this scene.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she cries. She cries, or she breaks down, or she puts on some defense, whether you think she cried or not.
Right.
And she stops the conversation by having her own emotions, because that's probably worked for her in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like way back to when she was 5 or 4.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's where this stuff starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she cries, and then Vixen's like, this is exactly where it is. Now I look like a fucking bitch.
Yeah. When she says that thing about like, she's like, oh, with the fucking tears. It's
so
with
gross. The fucking tears, it's so gross.
I
don't think she's saying that tears are gross.
No, she's saying this. She's saying this
the
response, this thing that I did this, and now you're crying.
No, I'm gonna get in trouble.
I'm so glad that we got to see that frustration, because I think that that's valid to just highlight that. I think so often we just see a queen crying and we're all supposed to just back off, and it's like, I am not about attacking people when they're down.
Right.
But that's not what the situation was.
Right.
And what what Aquaria was trying to do was like, stop. I don't want you to make this point anymore, because I don't like it. But the point was not done being made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to like lift out of the drama right now and just say all of this would have been solved. None of this would have happened if hurt people stopped hurting people. Wow. You know what I mean? And I know it's like very easy to say, but like sometimes I feel like our default to being hurt is this comedic shade that when you're young, you don't really know how to do, and you don't know when to do it.
Yeah.
And we just start picking on others, and we don't know who the fuck we're about to pick on. And that's a problem. I think this whole idea about being petty and being shady has turned into a defense mechanism, and it's not positive. It's actually not communicating.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to be shady to you because I don't really like you.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
it
as opposed to like your friend and reading your friend being like, girl, what was that wig? You know?
I mean, it doesn't help that a lot of reading that, you know, particularly younger people, but everyone now, it all happens on the internet. There's no context. There's no tone. There's no, I mean, there's so much nuance with reading. And we see that in the fact that Asia's making the same joke about the wig that Aquaria did, but the nuances were different.
Right.
But on the internet, a lot of that gets scraped away. And so people just like, they just go for like what's on the surface, which is just mean things.
Yeah.
There's no tone. And so I think that informs it too.
You know, communication is key. And I think we've said this time and time again. Communication is key, and it's a skill. And, you know, this stuff isn't just on Drag Race.
Yeah. People
aren't communicating where they're coming from. They're not showing their vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because it's scary to, and you've been attacked before. And it would just be so much easier if we came at people from a place of love rather than fear. And I feel like you have Aquaria who gets called out by the Vixen because Aquaria is a certain way. And now all of a sudden she has this like thing against the Vixen, and the Vixen now has this thing against Aquaria because Aquaria has this thing against the Vixen. And it's just like, girls, like, why don't you guys talk about this right now? Why are you feeling that way, Aquaria? Why are you feeling that way, Vixen? Use your words and find a common ground. You're both very smart.
Yeah. I think because fear is a very addictive drug that it's like sugar. You don't even know you're addicted to it. You know what I mean? It's like Katya talks about that, like having an addiction to anxiety.
Right.
Like fear is, I mean, we're addicted to it because we believe it.
Yeah.
I buy fear-based thoughts 10 times out of 9 before I buy, you know, love-based
and
thoughts.
As Monique says, like, that's your perception, right? It's your own shit that is creating all of that fear. And that's why so many people are on the defense. And when you're someone like the Vixen, it seems like you have to be on the defense a lot. And it's another habit of mind. It's a mode of survival.
Yeah.
And I think the Vixen is going to grow from this conversation as well, from her triumph and her way of standing up for herself and being validated by so many people on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think that in these situations and the way that they happen in real life, like, you know, what we've kind of heard, or what I think Miss Crackers talked about on social media, is that this conversation was a lot longer. They did really come to a resolution.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure we'll see some of it discussed in the next episode.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that briefly? I mean, Aquaria came out and said that in a post.
Yeah, I mean, she had posted that, like, you know, we have resolved things. We've talked about this. This is very much an issue, and you know, it's great that it came up and it was highlighted, but like, this is not a reason to be attacking anybody.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not good at communicating with people. This
Yeah.
is a problem of mine that I've realized, and the optics are very real. And then even after that post, fans were still spewing hate on behalf of Aquaria, and Aquaria had to come back and say, like, some of y'all still don't fucking get it.
Yeah.
And that is very dejecting for me to see as a fellow fan, where I'm like, oh, even if Valentina had told them to stop sending death threats to Nina Bonina Brown, they still wouldn't have. Because it's deeper than just supporting a queen. Yeah. It's about being validated in terms of your fucking racism.
And it's also sometimes paired with, oh, I'm going to get attention for this. Oh, they'll notice me. They want to get yelled at by these queens because they just want attention.
Yep.
I mean, they
want to goad them, you know?
Yeah, the illness that you have to make the decision to spread hate on the internet, to make the choice that, oh, I'm going to go be awful. If you're that fucked up, you're not going to hear an Instagram post telling you that this is not a real thing.
Right.
You're too far gone, and your only hope is Darwinism.
Yeah.
I don't have time for those people. We've talked about this before. God. I don't have compassion for those people. I don't want to reach out to them.
What do you want the Vixen to do? Feel sad and cry and, you know, like, oh yeah, I am a piece of garbage. Okay,
yeah.
Oh yeah. What are you expecting?
There's nothing you can give those people.
You're expecting hate back. You're expecting more violence. You're expecting for them to threaten you. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make violence happen. It's not going to happen.
Gretchen.
Yeah.
No, I don't. There's no reasoning with those people.
Right.
No.
Right.
There's
block, mute, done.
Yep. Napalm. I don't care. I just. It's. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's just It's an unending stream.
Sure.
So long as there's comment sections.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. And I like that Aquaria is coming outside of the show. I do hope that it happens on the show, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do hope that happens because
because
because seeing resolution as much as we don't want TV to be teaching kids how to act and behave, oftentimes it is. And if we see that those resolutions can happen, though, we can move forward.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like if this is the last we hear of this story, it's a waste, because it's seeing the conclusion, seeing the final act of this, at least within the show, would be great. It'd be just be a new story.
Right.
This was real. I mean, the last note I really had about it was like, the best thing that Aquaria could do was just say yes and shut up and just, accept that. And I could recognize, because I haven't been a little hard on Aquaria this episode, I recognize that humbling moment. I recognize the pride swallowing. And
where she's like, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I understand that can be hard for someone who hasn't had to do that before. And
in front of
cameras. In front of cameras, in front of everyone else in the room, in front of the millions watching.
That's hard for an adult, let alone a 21-year-old.
Yeah. So I give credit
for that. A little queer kid, who's probably been fucked up since, you know what I mean?
Who has not had to do this before necessarily. Right. Certainly not on this scale.
Right. I wouldn't want somebody to be filming me when I fuck up for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so we talked about this in the main episode, but like, you have to be willing to let people grow.
Yeah.
Because isn't that what we want? Isn't what we're all like, oh, people need to learn and grow. And then when they try to, it's like not good enough.
And you can still be gagged by Aquaria's drag, and you can still root for her. And it doesn't mean that you're a racist. It doesn't mean that you're not Team Vixen. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
You can still see Aquaria for the artist that she is. But what's so beautiful about this show is that we also get to see queer people go through a journey and get to see them and express their stories and where they are. And that includes ignorance.
Yeah.
That includes not being able to communicate. That includes depression.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I loved about the fact that it's happening on Drag Race, and Sister Mary Claire highlighted this, she messaged us with really like the way that these looks informed this conflict. Aquaria, this quote unquote wounded bird, with the tears already painted on. And then here is the Vixen, the peacock, showing her true colors, and being loud and proud about it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, that's what's great about Drag Race. There's all these amazing stories being told, and then they're in these fucking costumes that are just like matching that.
Right.
Best show on television.
You have the white bird, the peaceful dove. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's just, again, if this was a one-act play, Pulitzers.
Sure.
Yeah. It's just so perfect. Right. Yeah.
Pulitzers.
The fact that there's a character named Miss Cracker who's trying to be a white person telling a black person to calm down is just like good writing. It's just like spot-on satire.
Who else was in the room?
It was
Dusty.
It was Dusty, Monique, Monet, Aquaria, obviously, Cracker, the Vixen.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, 6 of them. Yeah. So it was an interesting mix.
Yeah, I mean, the other girls come in. I think the conversation shifts to Monique and Mayhem, right? This idea that Mayhem kind of threw Monique under the bus. Yeah. And what I loved, Monique was like, I'm going to check my tone. And I was like, God, I love you.
Yeah. I really hope this whole like Monique is too aggressive thing, like, I don't want that to become a storyline.
Sure.
Like, I'm just like, no. It's also like, guys, can we not tell that story? Like, we just stopped. We just broke one stereotype. Could we not like attack an assertive black queen for being aggressive?
Right.
Because like, I just feel like guys.
Yeah.
Another direction.
Sure.
Tell a different story.
Sure.
Not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also not true. Wasn't the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do not come for her.
Donut come for me.
No. So anyway, I mean, I didn't have a ton of notes after that because it was just like,
yep.
That was.
I mean, I thought we see you.
Yes.
She's very upset.
Yeah.
She's really sad. When she was reading that note.
Oh no. Yeah.
She was crying.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh girl,
get her
this
a
is
tissue.
real. Yeah, get her a tissue.
She was
help
really
her out.
Feeling it. She did say in her What You Packin' that she was going to do Jackie Chan for Snatch Game, which I thought, well, that could have gone one of two ways.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we've had so many hot button issues to talk about this season. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for like that yet, but who knows? Like, I'll take it, but you know what I mean? It's between the Rue interview and this, I'm like, wow.
Yeah. What else?
Heavy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. I think that these conversations should be had.
Yeah.
That's why we started the goddamn podcast.
No,
Mary.
I know. It's just like, whoa. Like, it's just like, yeah, you just kind of want to lighten up just for a minute.
Yeah, I feel you.
Just a sip of spun soup.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you hope for another Asia and Monet exchange.
Yes.
Literally exchange.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was cute to see, like, Yuha, when she was saying immigration.
Oh, yeah, she was doing all those Asian stereotypes.
Yeah. I know some people... I don't know if I think that she's very self-aware of her jokes. She's very much trying to make quote unquote racist jokes. But I think there's always a wink. And
we call them racial jokes.
Yeah, racial jokes. Yeah, there's always a wink. And I think, like, I don't know. I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah. But I did write that she's a weirdo. And I love that.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
And I love you for that.
I mean, I had just a couple of little... I know that was probably a big chunk of nuance, but I had a couple of updates I wanted to mention. I finally started watching both Dragula and Drag Race Thailand. Yes.
Or as Diane Keaton would say,
28 times in one movie. So I watched like the first 4 episodes, I think, of Dragula.
Oh, good for you.
And I think...
Do you love Apora?
Oh, wow. Yeah, her drag is great. I mean, Bitch Puddin' is certainly... I mean, I know who wins. I know... I
know.
Yeah, but I
don't
know
spoilers.
I mean, I don't know the top 3, I think. But I know who wins.
Oh, my God. Colin?
It's really... Yeah.
Victoria Elizabeth Black.
Oh, wow. Like, she's incredible.
She's who... If I had to pick the winner, it probably would have gone to her.
Oh, next level drag. Because I just saw the one where she was the alien giving birth.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this is...
Wait till... The best episode for me was the Western.
Oh, I saw that one with the ghosts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, where Apora played that black and white like cartoon ghost.
So great. And then Victoria Elizabeth Black lit the thing on fucking fire.
That was incredible.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, really.
How much do you love the Boulay brothers for they seem so not on stage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I skip through like the opening bits, the little like...
Oh, okay.
I'm like, okay, guys, whatever.
I think they're funny.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I think I just skipped through the last one. I was like, it's getting a little long. But just the artistry, the level of drag.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's it's creepy and it's gross and all that.
It's sci-fi, or
but
horror,
like, you compare this to some of the best looks on the runway at Drag Race, and there's no comparison.
Well, I think that, this could be this. Why can't some of this stuff be on the runway?
Sure,
it would
Sharon
just look,
Needles.
Yeah, it would just look weird with the aesthetics of the runway.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, the level of detail. I mean, just...
And you know what? Somebody pointed out to me, you don't see, on Dragula, you rarely see them out of drag. And so
that's been interesting.
Yeah, so you don't really get to connect with them too much as these boys.
Yeah. I know, because I keep thinking, is Bitch Puddin' really Sasha Bell underneath that? Very similar. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
Which would be fine. Yeah. It's okay. I'm okay with that.
No, I mean, there's certainly drama that gets aired out in the quote unquote workroom when they're putting on makeup, but like you don't really see them before the makeup. They're even in the confessionals. They're in their makeup.
No, there's always... It's
an interesting choice.
There's like day drag of sort.
I wonder if they're doing that for budget reasons, that they don't have time to film those confessionals when they're out of drag.
Oh, yeah, because I was thinking about that. Like, do they just film all these confessionals in one? One fell swoop. Yeah, because they're just all in their intricate drag.
Yeah.
Some of the stories that are getting told on Dragula, like Dolly's story about being HIV positive and then touring unmedicated for a year,
right?
And talking about not having health insurance and getting incredibly sick. I was like, oh, that's a story that happens very often that we're not hearing on Drag Race.
Right.
I was like, oh shit, that's real.
Right.
And so that was really interesting. Yeah, I'm into it. I'm very much into it.
Bitch, get into it.
Yeah, Bitch Puddin', get into it. So I'm enjoying that. And then
Thailand.
I've watched the first 2 episodes.
How much do you love Biella?
Oh, Biella. I love all of them.
I know, right?
All of them. I can't believe how much I love them. I love Biella. I love oh my God. I mean, obviously Annie Mae Wong.
Annie Mae Wong.
Fucking unbelievable. But all of them are. I mean, all of them. There's another one that I love. I love Jaja. I think that he's really smart, really creative. They're all great. But and can I just say,
the hosts?
The things I want to do to Pan Pan. He's so hot. Like, I can't and he's like, I don't want to say not my type in terms of he's like very extroverted. Like that's not really my type. But like, fuck, is he hot? Pan, Jesus. I
like Amadiva.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'm a diva. I like her. Yeah. Remind me because like Bunny B. Fly just went home.
Oh, spoilers. Yes, Bunny B. Fly. The first one to go home was Mini Minaj.
Oh, I was surprised. I thought she. Was, I thought she.
That was a surprising elimination.
Yeah.
There's Petra.
Oh yes.
Do you remember her?
Yeah, she. Yes.
I'm trying to find. Oh, the oldest queen is.
Natalia Pliacon.
Yes, Pliacon.
I can't with her right now.
She is fierce as fuck.
But she is, and you think that she's going to be this like dud.
No, she's like a Bianca Del Rio in that sense. Yeah, she knows exactly what's happening.
What a kook. Yeah, Natalia Pliacon. Then there's Morrigan. She's a weirdo.
Oh, Morrigan. Yeah. And then Dierys Dahl.
Oh, I like her. I think I like Dierys Dahl.
Yeah.
She's fun. She kind of reminds me of Manila.
I see what
out
you
of
mean.
drag. She has that same kind of personality.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Is that everybody?
Yep, that's everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. Because you mentioned Zsa Zsa.
I mentioned Zsa Zsa. Yeah.
There's only 10.
Yeah. I think they're all really charming and really fun to watch.
11. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think there's 10 of them in total.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah. So I'm 2 episodes in. I love the theme song. I love it's not like anything special. It's just like really catchy.
Did you get to the episode where RuPaul speaks to them?
No, I've only seen the first 2.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
But I mean, the fact that they lip sync to the whole song.
Yes.
And the runway is a production, and I love how the judges just lose their shit.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, you better work, bitch. Like, that is my kind of show. I do like the host. Yeah. I think that he should whatever is fun. I thought it was so funny how the first episode, there was such an emphasis on like, now go get some rest. Like, they get so much rest. And it was like, oh, that's so sweet.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to recap the season with you.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Okay.
Drag Race Thailand, if you're not, just go on Dailymotion and just search it. Oh, who's listening?
All right. No, I'm just saying, like, it'll get taken down, I think, if we share it too much.
I mean, it should be seen. It's going to eventually be on Wow Presents Plus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Presents Plus. Yeah.
Wow Presents Plus.
Yeah. So, but it's great. It's so good. Don't write it off. And the subtitles, I mean, it's like you get used to it.
Yeah. No, it's like any foreign film.
Yeah. They're so charming.
Right.
These performers. So, yeah, I'm sorry it took me this long, Marys, but like.
One of my favorite quotes is, "Come through, see through." They say it not in English, but like it's "come through, see through," like when you're wearing like a sheer garment.
Oh, was that early on? I don't remember.
No, you haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
No.
Oh, well,
sorry.
I'm not going to get.
Sorry, Mary. Yeah. That's how they say it in Canada.
Yeah,
sorry.
Sorry.
So
yeah, I think that was maybe all that I had for nuance. Like, that was a big update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's huge, man.
Yeah. So my sense, like, once, we recap it, I feel like we'll be able to do it in like 4 parts. You know what I mean? Like, just in terms of like, I don't think we're going to go like knee deep into the episode, every episode each week. You know what I mean? I don't know if that kind of nuance is there. But I'm excited to celebrate these queens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So.
I guess, keep up with the other things going on, right? Katya's podcast, certainly. Whimsically Volatile is another one to check out.
Yeah, people have been asking us about that. What do you think of that?
So all honest opinions, this has been a crazy week for me. But I've only listened to the first maybe 10 minutes of the Lady Bunny episode. And it was basically just Katya laughing while Bunny was just giving jokes.
Yes.
And I was like fine with it. So yeah, but there's a few projects at work going on right now that are just like absolutely crazy that I can't listen to anything while I'm working on them.
Yeah.
So it's just been tricky, and I've had a lot of outside gigs going on, and I'm not making excuses, but this takes up time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we've had, we podcasting on Friday, and so anyway, so it's happening. It's all happening. This weekend, I will be out of town, so Colin and I are going to do another hot take episode.
Yes.
Of this next week, Drag Race coming up. So we will be dropping our episode Thursday night.
Yes. So it won't be any nuance, but like you will get an episode immediately. So there's a nice trade-off.
Yeah.
I do. While we're on the topic of podcasts, I do want to say I have been listening to Whimsically Volatile.
Okay.
I've listened to all the episodes.
Sure.
I really enjoyed the episode with Lady Bunny. I think that she is, if you haven't listened to this podcast, that is the episode to start with, because Lady Bunny is everything. She is the smartest person in the room. Trust me.
Right.
And she's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I just love Lady Bunny.
Yeah.
I do find the podcast a little something in my gut doesn't feel great about it.
Okay.
I'm feeling it does feel very manic, and I just think that Katya has essentially, once she said in the first episode that like people didn't really know what was going on with her because they thought she was just acting her kooky self, it's hard to not see what the difference is now.
Oh, I see.
It's not for me to assign where somebody's at in their mental health journey. I'm not trying to kind of diagnose anything.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm not the only person who I've heard have this opinion that it can be very difficult
I see.
to listen to this if you have a certain sensitivity.
Oh, I see.
Or a certain experience.
Yeah.
And so I feel like jury's still out. It's like I was just listening to the most recent episode and I honestly had to stop listening because it was a little too manic.
Oh.
And it's like, it gets to a point where it wasn't entertaining for me anymore. And it was a little like, because she has this co-host Craig, who's very much the literally the straight man, and he's he plays along with her, but he's very much the proxy for the audience. Okay. And there's this sense of like, what's he seeing? I don't know.
I wish I could engage with you right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll put a pin in this conversation and save it for another time.
But I'd love to hear from other Marys who are maybe having the same feeling.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm trying to think what else is out there right now. Obviously, Monet is putting out a lot of content.
Her Reddit response videos.
Her Reddit response videos. And she has the Street Beats. And she has the podcast with Bob.
Oh, yeah, Sibling Rivalry. I haven't listened to it yet.
Really funny.
Yeah.
And really funny. You could watch it, too.
Yeah, they have a video version.
Yeah. No, I highly recommend it. They work great together.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Mary's, if you are, lacking drag content, go out to your local drag bar. Find it.
Yeah.
Find it somewhere.
Yeah.
You will be able to find it. And if you can't find it, watch Paris is Burning.
Yeah.
Find these videos online and watch performances. Because
to be honest, that's how I watch a lot of drag. I don't go my intention this summer is to go see a lot of drag, but I typically don't go to drag bars, or I don't go to see a lot of drag in person. But I mean, YouTube is a wealth of drag.
And you could support queens by, if you don't go to drag bars to tip them, you can buy their merch, you can buy their albums, you can send them love in some way, because not everybody has a lot of money, not everybody is around drag bars to just easily go to, but there's a lot of ways where you can consume drag content.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're in an age of so much drag. I also just saw the clip of, Ada Vox on American Idol.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's hard for me to get into American Idol.
Well, I'm not watching the show. I just saw a clip of her singing Creep by Radiohead.
Oh, great.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that song is, we've talked about that with the soundtrack of The Social Network, with the trailer, they use that song. That song is a very queer, has a very queer aesthetic.
Yeah.
There's actually a beautiful video that somebody made using the girls' choir version of it that uses dolls.
Oh, cool.
And it's really dark and really amazing, and a total commentary on the need to fit in. And I think that's certainly a part of the queer experience. So for her to sing that song is huge.
On American Idol.
Yeah.
I mean, on ABC. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Britta Filter often sings that at karaoke that she hosts at Pieces.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, we talk about this whole idea of like drag becoming mainstream, and I mean, like, the fact that there's a drag queen on American Idol singing her heart out, and she's like killing it.
Right.
Like, it's not just, she's in a dress.
Right.
I mean, granted, I saw the clip on Facebook. I made the mistake of looking at the comments, and I stopped.
That's hard, Mary.
Yeah.
It's like looking at the underbelly of a rock.
Ugh, it's like that. I get into this place like, oh God, I hate the world. You just go to that place.
Yeah, you have to stop.
Yeah, because it's just gross.
There's positivity, right? We have to look at the helpers, right, Mr. Rogers?
Oh yeah, there were lots of comments responding and saying, someone was like, well, this performance shouldn't be on American Idol. It should be like in a drag bar. And someone said, well, drag queens typically lip sync, and she's singing, so I think she's in the right place.
Sure.
So
fabulous.
yeah,
Clap back.
yeah,
Clap back,
yeah,
Akila.
yeah.
No, I'm with it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we have. Somebody, I think it was Dan, the Squirrel Man, maybe he sent us the clip of Derek Barry at the Haters Roast. All of the clips of the Haters Roast are great. If you weren't able to go, Trixie's is hilarious. But yeah, then there's one very unfortunate one of Derek Barry. It's a little long and it's not that funny. So if you want to just watch like the first 4 minutes or maybe even 2 minutes, like you'll get all you need.
Yeah, it's funny, and then you kind of like you see a shot of like Trixie just being over it, and you're like, oh, I think I'm over it too.
Yeah, exactly.
And you start to realize, oh, this went long.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but you know,
well, it's out there. It's something to consume.
Yeah, something to watch.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I got nothing else for you, Mary.
I think that's all I got. I think, we have talked about this episode more than we've ever talked about an episode of Drag Race, considering we talked about it on 2 podcasts.
Yeah, the first podcast was 2 hours, and then we had an hour and a half episode for the main episode, and this one's edging on an hour. So. Yeah,
so I think that the tank is empty.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
I'm good. But...
great episode.
Yeah.
Love this season so far.
Oh my God, I'm loving season 10.
Yeah.
I really I know some of
who's your top 3 now, Mary?
I was going to say, I know that Farmer's Rusical was a little uneven. I know this challenge was a little uneven, but the queens, it's all about the fucking queens.
Yeah.
My top 3, it's Monet, it's Monique, it's Asia, it's Dusty, I could see Blair surprising me. I could see, I don't know. I mean, I could see Miss Cracker, showing up. I mean, who knows? Even Aquaria. But where my heart is, obviously Monet, and I think it's Asia now.
It's always been Asia and Monique, and I think it's either going to be Monet or Cracker. There's going to be a New York queen in the top 3.
I see what you mean. I could see Monet maybe not making top 3 potentially, but I mean, being a star.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
No concerns about her career.
No
I think
way.
everyone's just in love with her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and if not, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Check out those street beats. You will fall in love with her.
Yeah, I'm glad the Marys who checked it out and let us know. I'm so glad people fell in love with it because it's. I mean.
Ugh.
When Monet and I get married, and then we just show those clips, and it's just gonna be really special.
She'll sing for you at the wedding.
I can't. I'm gonna be like that little chocolate bar she's singing to in the mini challenge. I can't wait.
White chocolate.
Sure. Cookies and cream. Yeah.
Chunky.
Yeah. Hey.
With chock full of nuts.
Yeah, with nuts. Yeah. Yeah.
Marco brings the rings down the aisle.
Oh God, dare to dream. Dare to dream. Ugh.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Who will officiate the wedding? Who's your dream officiant?
Oh,
Monique Hart.
I guess Monique Hart. If Michelle wants to do it,
Sasha Velour.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm into that. Yeah, and yeah, I'd love a whole bevy of New York queens there. I'd love to see, a chorus of Peppermint and maybe who else sings? Who cares?
I want Nick and Amanda from Squirrel Friends to reenact their Alyssa Coco.
Yes.
And can I get an amen? Mm-hmm. I certainly want Grizzly Kiki there to just podcast about the whole thing.
Right. And I want them to make my dress.
Sure. Yes. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ugh. And then at the last minute, I'll just leave and run away with Sarge. I don't know. Or if I marry Sarge, I'll leave and run away with Monet.
There you go.
Either way, it's
Why don't you marry all of them, You're
right. Derek Barry. Why don't I just take a page from his book?
Exactly. Thruple it up, Mary.
Thruple it up. Couple of bald heads. Oh, my God. I never knew it. It's this thing for bald guys. Oh, my God.
Mary. That's fine. I'm sure Nick Kachanov from Squirrel Friends is clapping his heart out right now.
Bald is beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. Bruce Willis.
Oh, my God.
We talked about Color of Night a few weeks ago. So I think he had receding hair in that, but it didn't make a difference to me.
No.
Yeah.
No way, Mary.
No way, Mary. I don't care. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's all we got.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Well, Marys, I hope that you have a fantastic week. If you have any more thoughts on nuance or anything about this episode, please reach out to us on Twitter at AllRightMary or reach out to us via email at allrightmarypodcast@gmail.com. Okay, Mary, or find us on the web at allrightmary.com.
Right. And if you're a Mary who listens to Nuance, you might be a Mary who likes bonus episodes, which means that you could head over to patreon.com/allrightmary, which would give you access to a bonus episode every week.
Holla.
Yeah. So, and you know the drill about iTunes. You know what I'm going to tell you. 5 stars, nice review. You got this.
Thanks, Marys.
You know how to do that. Remember, like from Country Queens when Kathy and Jimmy.
Oh yeah, you know how to do that.
Yeah, it's the sexiest thing in the world. You know how to do that.
You know how to do that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You and I both know.
You and I both know.
All right, Marys. We hope you have a fantastic week, and thanks again for trucking through all of this content and taking the dive with us.
You
we
got
appreciate
so much
it.
Mary this week.
We're into it. Thanks so much, and we hope you have a great week again.
Bye.